Hey, what's up guys? UrAvgWarGamer is back with another video for the Warships, and in this video we will be taking a look at the 5 best premium ships that you should buy for either for your money or either you should buy doubloons obviously from your money and consider getting these tier 8 ships. These are really good because they have a lot of strengths. They have some weaknesses, but the strengths definitely outperform the weaknesses in many areas. And I would say these will also gonna fit into the meta of what World of Warships really looking like in 2025. So I will be explaining the strengths, the weaknesses, and why these 5 ships are worthy. And again, I will explain one more thing, that these are only tier 8 ships. They will be a bit expensive, but if you have money laying around, or if you have doubloons that you want to spend, I think this video will be very helpful for even you as a newer player or maybe an experienced player. So definitely watch this video, and I have put the chapters in the description so you can just go through any other ship other than the 5th one or the 4th one. And also one more thing to note, that the list is not particularly like the top 5. Like the first one is not going to be the best one, okay? These 5 ships are pretty good according to their play styles, okay? So that is something that you should really know. And if you find this video again useful and enjoyable or something that helps you a lot as a player, definitely like and even subscribe, and let's talk about these ships. So at number 5, I would highly recommend the Almirante Grau. I'm sorry for mispronunciating the whole name of the ship, but this cruiser at tier 8 is really good. And I mean it because of many reasons. Now, Almirante Grau has not the good of the reload time. It has 7 seconds of reload time on 8 of these light cruiser guns, which maybe seems to be like very mediocre for a tier 8. A lot of other cruisers does have really good reload time. But here's the thing that I definitely love about the Almirante Grau is that it has the F key. Now, F key is something that is the meta in World of Warships. Wargaming is kind of obsessed with this thing. And honestly, getting a infinite, and I must say, it's almost like an infinite main battery load booster that you find on French, but now it's with the F key on this cruiser, which will reduce the main battery load time by minus 66% for 30 seconds. And only what you have to do is to just stay unspotted for, I would say, around a minute. And you can just pump this F key and you will have like crazy reload time, like minus 66%. And with this, a burst that you can do onto the cruisers, onto the battleship, and especially with the fire chance that this cruiser has. And by the way, this cruiser was not available before anywhere. It was sort of exclusive. As you can see, the rarity, it's a rare item. So they just come up in the armory, this cruiser, and you have the opportunity to buy this. And that's why I am posting this cruiser as the first ship that I would highly recommend. And I mean, you have the F key, you can press the F key, and you can just do so much damage in a short amount of time. You will basically bust any cruiser, any destroyer that you find. And I mean, if you're farming battleship at islands, when you are using island as a cover, because this cruiser definitely has a play style of using island as a cover. And that's how you stay concealed. You basically build your F key while staying concealed, and then you just burst. And when you burst, you basically have this reload booster with 12% fire chance and good alpha. I mean, you will just easily going to set a lot of fires. And when you are top tier in the Almirante Grau, I would say it's pretty disgusting how it can perform against battleships by setting tons of fires. And this is something that is only, I would say, sort of unique for this cruiser, okay? It's decent HP, makes it also good at tier 8 for a light cruiser. That's a decent HP. But one thing to note, that it does not have access to heal, but at least it does have a hydro and also defensive fire. Now, before talking about defensive fire, if you hate carriers entirety in this game, like you just hate carriers, and you want to have a ship that literally dominates against carriers, this cruiser is actually the ship that you would love to fight or I would say against a carrier. Now, why I'm saying this? Almirante Grau, this cruiser has tier 10 levels of AA on a tier 8 cruiser. Tier 10 level of AA on a tier 8 cruiser, and then you have defensive AA fire on top of that. And I'm not joking when I'm saying this, that you can just completely prevent tier 6 carriers to even drop you. Like, the tier 6 carriers cannot like even touch you. And tier 8 carriers will just gonna get their planes shredded if even he wants a single strike on you. And that is something that I haven't seen on a cruiser, but now we are getting it in the Grau. Now, if you are an older player, you know we used to have Atlanta before the CV rework, which used to be a no AA fly zone. Well, you are getting kind of that treatment in this cruiser. This is sort of a new Atlanta, I would say, in terms of anti-defense, because look at that anti-defense numbers. These are tier 10 numbers on a tier 8 cruiser. Yes, unfortunately, it does not have heal. If the CV somehow managed to get a strike, you can take damage, but the CV will just entirely shred his planes. It's going to cost him a lot. And so much that it's not even funny. For a tier 8 carrier, it's not even funny. For the tier 10 carrier, it actually feels like that you are a booster. Like, he will literally feel that you are a tier 10 American booster, because the DBM numbers are basically like that for medium range A guns. I think that's what clearly explains to you why this cruiser is pretty good for Entire. You've built it for Entire, you do have the F key, you have really good guns, good fire chance, your concealment is pretty good. You are a very, very good cruiser, except you just don't have heal at tier 8. I must say it's gonna be really good. Fun ship in random, especially if you're playing it with division mates. Like, having a smoke is a great thing for the Grau. And in the ranked battles, it will also gonna perform really well, especially against the CVs. CV will just gonna forget dropping you, especially the tier 6 carriers. They just forget about you. Your concealment is pretty good, 9.6 kilometer. Your maneuverability can be better. It's not the best, not the worst, but something that you can work around. I mean, it does not have access to speed boost, which I would love to see, but even then, this cruiser is great. I'm not gonna lie, just for the anti-air purposes, this cruiser is a must-buy. And I mean, if for the guns and for the F key, I must say it's a really nice cruiser. It does not have access to the ASW airstrikes that you can just do, at ranges. It does not have access to that. This is a big problem. It does not have heal. It's having a poor armor. But other than that, this ship is a beast if you play it correctly. If you use the F key every single time, and if you have Joker Marquis Lisboa, which is the legendary captain that you can buy for coal in the containers, I think this cruiser is going to be so much fun. With this F key, you will just going to be bursting cruisers and battleships and destroyers alive. You farm them, you burn them alive, honestly. It's just that you have to play it carefully and utilize your HP that you have, only 39,000 in this case, effectively, okay? If you do this, this cruiser is pretty worthy. I must say, I love it. I just played a lot. I played it a lot against carriers. I played it a lot. It's definitely worthy for your doubloons, and you can buy it right now in the armory for doubloons with 25% discount coupon. If I'm not wrong, you can go and check that out. So, at number 5, great cruiser. Alright, so at number 4, I would highly recommend to buy one of the very oldest premiums in the game. That is the Japanese Atago. Now, Atago was in the game for a long time, and it still performs really well. It's one of the very good cruisers for many reasons. Like, first of all, it does have heals. Now, unlike the Grau, it does have heal, and at tier 8, having heals on a cruiser is so much lifesaver. Like, it's really good because of the heals. And also, it does have better HP pool than the Grau. But however, the guns are definitely better. Its reload time is very high. The Grau has light cruiser guns. It does have slightly better sort of heavy cruiser guns, but it comes with a very high reload time of 16 seconds. But these guns pack a lot of punch. They have really good dispersion, and they have really good fire chance with great alpha. So you shoot the guns onto a battleship and you set fire most of the time within a single salvo, okay? 17% fire chance. The AP will also gonna perform fine, but it's more of a AG spammer. I mean, Grau is also like that, but Atago is also kind of like that. You do have better speed, though I must say 37.3 knots for a cruiser is very impressive, and your concealment can get down to I would say around 9 point something kilometer. I mean, I have the heavy HE and sap shells in the commander skills, and that's why the Atago has slightly worse sort of concealment, but it can be very sneaky for a heavy cruiser, as good as the Grau. Okay, maneuverability very good for a heavy cruiser. The turning circle and rudder shift seems to be pretty nice. However, the star of the show is also going to be the torpedoes. Now, Grau does not have access to torpedoes, but it also have torpedoes. So you play in a kiting position, okay, not behind the islands. You can play open water in an Atago, and you can just farm damage by setting fires. You have the opportunity. You are basically an opportunist, I would say. Like, you basically use your concealment, you put yourself in kiting, and you basically farm battleships and set fires. You set fires on a cruiser. If you want to take on the cruiser, then you do have the heal and concealment and the, I would say, the guns for exactly trading that. Okay, you do have, just like the Grau, Hydro, and you do also have fighter. Now, it's not having the best AA at all. The Grau has like miles and miles better AA, like it's on another level. Atago has pretty mediocre AA. It's basically bad compared to, I would say, the Grau. But however, you do have the fighter, and if you pop the fighter when the CV coming to strike you, you do, I would say, limit the CV strike to 1, and that's what I usually do. If I use fighters, you can somewhat prevent the CV strikes, limiting it to 1, but the Grau can literally shut down the whole squad. That's the big difference between the Atago and the Grau. But still, these guns pack a lot of punch. You get really good tight dispersion. I'm sure that it has destroyer dispersion, which is also a very interesting point about the Atago. The shells are pretty good. The shells are fast. You have alpha that is crazy good, 3.6k alpha. You can really nail the target, like cruisers and even battleships superstructure, with this really good dispersion. And with the concealment, just like I said, it's a really good package. Compared to all the other cruisers, I would say Atago, alongside with Grau, are really the best cruisers that you can buy for doubloons. I mean, that is totally up to you guys. You can go and check out the video. The playstyle of Atago is different. The playstyle of the Grau is different. Grau basically, utilizes the hide and seek sort of approach. He basically, the Atago does the same thing as well. It's just that Atago can be more open water. Grau can be more, I would say, island hugging sort of cruiser. But Atago can be more open water because of the shells and the way it performs, or the way the playstyle of the Atago works. But go and check that out. I would say it's a really good cruiser at number 4. Okay, so this time I'm going to be recommending a destroyer, and that is Cossack, a British tier 8 very potent destroyer. Honestly, if you play it in randoms and especially in ranked, you can carry a ton of games on a Cossack. Now, why Cossack is a very worthy premium ship for your doubloons or your money? Well, I would simply say one thing. Cossack has 8 guns, and it rivals to that of gunboat destroyers. It has gunboat level of performance with the guns. Like, you have 8 guns, your reload time might not look good, but I mean, you do have 8 guns, just like I said. Your fire chance is pretty good at 8%, your alpha seems to be pretty good at 1.7, and then, even though you do have the gunboat performing DPM, you actually have a concealment like of torpedo boat. So you basically have the best of the both worlds. You basically fight against destroyers with this insanely good gun performance, and you have the concealment that rivals to that of torpedo boat destroyers, which basically makes Cossack very stealthy and very powerful once you literally outspot so many destroyers at this tier. Okay, and the thing about the Cossack is that if that is not enough, it has access to the very powerful and I would say very good short burst smoke generator. It's something that is meta defining. These smokes are only going to last for a very short time, but you will be back up again and you will be back up again. So you basically shoot, you basically can disengage, shoot, and then you basically run from the smoke, get your smoke back in 20 seconds, and then you shoot again. So basically like a good hide and then shoot tactic that you can deploy on a Cossack which is unlike on any other destroyer. This destroyer performs so well against destroyers, especially because you also have like literally a 3 minute, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, more than a 3 minute hydroacoustic search that is sort of a self-defense sort of thing. Like you can literally spot all the torpedoes. You will never ever gonna run or at least gonna eat torpedo in a Cossack because of this hydro. It's lasting super long, almost for 200 seconds with my build. And then you also have the speed boost. You have the British acceleration. You basically accelerate like you have something like a jet booster behind. Like you just accelerate quickly, and on top of that you have speed boost, so speed juking is super good. You have short burst smoke, just like I said, and then you have the best of the both worlds, like concealment and the gun performance, that with the survivability of almost 19,000 makes it amazing. I'm not gonna say that it's the best, but it is one of the best destroyers at tier 8. It is so good. Yes, the only downside that I would say might be the torpedoes. The torpedoes that it has, I would say, compared to the Lightning, which is also a very good tier 8 destroyer at Tech 3, British. Well, it does have 8 torpedoes, if I'm not wrong. It has only 4 torpedoes, but the reload time is also very nice. 66 seconds of reload time, 16k damage, 10 kilometer range. Honestly, Cossack is such a good destroyer that I can close my eyes and you can just simply buy this ship for money, and you will definitely gonna thank me later. You're literally going to thank me later because it's so good. Once you know how to play destroyers, Cossack can perform amazing in ranked and the randoms. No other destroyer is that good in many ways like Cossack does. That's my opinion. And a lot of other players, good players, do also recommend that. I mean, you can already see I have racked up so much ship XP because it is such a good destroyer for your money. Just a couple of things that I want you guys to know, that even though it does not have really good anti-defense, like it has terrible anti-defense, you will never gonna be shooting down a single plane. That's how bad the anti-defense is. But remember, you have the smokes. You can just smoke yourself up, waste the CV time for a minute before he might think of you or dropping you again, because the smoke will definitely gonna prevent him to do the good strike. So that is something that you can get on Cossack, and the maneuverability, the nimbleness of the turning cycle and rudder shift is something that is just super impressive. And Andrew Cunningham, if you have this, guy, it's just so good. You have like the lightning fast, extra speed if you get 4 floods, and it's pretty easy to get 2 kills, so you get extra consumables. Like, what's something that you would complain about the Cossack? Honestly, it's just so good. And I would say it's very, very worthy as a premium destroyer that you should have in your port. Okay, so now this is for those players who are interested in carrier gameplay. I know there might be some players out there, newer players, or even some players that have doubloons laying around, thinking of playing a carrier, and they want to invest into a good premium carrier. And well, out of all carriers at tier 8, the Kaga, I would say, takes the crown. I would say this aircraft carrier is a very beginner friendly, and for many reasons. Now, first of all, if you take a look at the aircraft, you have like gazillion, and I'm not gonna lie, you have like gazillion amount of planes on your like deck. You are literally a plane factory. The Kaga has the highest, if I'm not wrong, the highest plane reserves out of all carriers. Like, you have 38 planes, torpedo bombers on deck. How many planes that you can lose, you will still going to have a full squadron many, many times. If you lose a torpedo bomber squad, for example, as a newer player, you will still going to have more planes. You're still going to have more planes. Your preparation time is not too bad as well. Like 85 seconds. So one torpedo bomber will come every like sort of one and a half minute. So every 1.5 minutes, you will also going to get one torpedo bomber, and then you also have like 38 planes on deck. And then, don't forget that you also have bombers that also have like 38 planes on deck, which is absolutely crazy. So in terms of plane reserves, you kind of feels like infinite. And I'm not wrong about that. Like, it's so good, at least with the plane reserves, okay? Their HP pool is also pretty good. Like, look at the torpedo bombers HP, 2000 HP. So the HP pool is also not too bad, okay? It's pretty decent. And then you also look at the bombers, they are also pretty good. Now, the best thing about the Kaga is the plane reserves, which I've explained, but also something that I would say is very, very reliable, and that is the torpedo bombers. The torpedo bombers, they do a lot of damage. You actually have 4 planes in an attack flight, okay? I mean, you have 12 planes on a squadron, but you have 4 planes in an attack flight. You have 5.4K alpha. You have 15 knots of speed on the torpedoes, so the reaction time for the battleships is going to be very, very low. And you can just throw so many torpedoes onto a battleship. You can get 2 strikes. Like, potentially you can get 8 torpedoes on a battleship because you have like 12 planes in a squadron, right? And even if one squadron gets shot down by a lone battleship, you're still going to have like 8 torpedoes from 2 attack flights that you can deliver. And that's why it's reliable. The torpedo bombers are extremely reliable. You can deal like 30,000 damage in just a single squadron with 2 attack flights. And then if you get a flood, which does happen quite a lot, if you get 8 torpedo hits, there's a good chance of getting 1 flood. And then you can use the bombs, and then you can literally set fires. The bomb penetration is really good. Alpha is really good, even though you only have 4 bombs, but the reticle is small. I mean, you can go and check out the Kaga gameplay. The Kaga gameplay is very simple, and the plane reserves, along with the torpedo bombers, makes it super reliable and also beginner friendly. Decent HP. You also like really good concealment for a carrier, 12.2 kilometer, and your speed is also okay, but something that I'm not going to talk much because it's not something that is very important. The thing about the Kaga is tons of plane reserves, so many torpedo bombers, and then you regen so many planes, or I would say the torpedo bombers and bombers, that you will absolutely love this ship. The reliability of Kaga is such that even in tier 10 matchmaking, it's gonna be sort of easy to drop on a tier 10 battleship. You do have the heals, by the way. I haven't even talked about that. Like, for example, you do have heals on torpedo bombers, which also make it even more reliable. You pop the heal, you control that AA for a short period of time and prevent you can prevent yourself from getting that AA damage for that particular time for like 5.5 seconds, and you can just get a full perfect drop. And then you can just turn around, get another drop. And it's something that just makes it super reliable against even tier 10 battleships. Yes, you do have the bombs if there is cruiser. If there is destroyer, for example, if you think that you struggle against destroyers, you do have the bombs. Try the bombs on destroyers, you will get decent damage. Try the rockets on DDs. It's still a bit unreliable, but I mean, you do have the bombs for that. So you do have like all the areas that you basically click in Kaga, like torpedoes with battleships and cruisers, bombs with destroyers, and torpedoes with, the carriers, and submarines that you can literally spot from patrol fighters. You pop the patrol fighter on top of a submarine, and you will deal pretty nicely against them as well. Pretty much worthy carrier, compared to all the other carriers that are available in the armory. Kaga is the best beginner friendly, even in 2024. I hope that does not change, but maybe in 2026, at least in 2025 and 2024, we still have really good Kaga. But in 2026, when the CV rework will happen, things might change. Okay, so last but not least, I'm not gonna say that it's the best cruiser. I mean, the top 5 or the best ships out there in my list is not like the top in the list, okay? Every cruiser or a carrier, whatever, or even a destroyer that I have explained here is very good for their playstyle. And Mainz is also one of them. Now, Mainz kind of feels like more towards the Grau playstyle, okay? The Grau that I've talked about like at the start. Well, the Mainz guns definitely feel like the light cruiser guns because these are light cruiser guns on this cruiser, okay? But the good thing about the Mainz compared to Grau is that you don't need to rely on a weighting and then using the F key to get that DPM burst improvement. Mainz have 204k HE DPM, which actually rivals to many other cruisers at tier 9 and even at tier 10, you might find some cruisers that are having that much HE DPM. And you're getting that sort of DPM at tier 8. And good thing about the Mainz is that you also have improved HE pen, because as a German cruiser, or the cruisers that are basically having German flavor or German nation, they have improved HE pen. Like in the case of Hindenburg, you have 50mm pen on 2 or 3mm guns. In the case of Mainz, you have 150mm guns, having really good reload time on 12 guns, and still having 38mm pen, which means you can actually pen the American battleships very easily. And lower, I would say, armor plating ships like French, the British, and some other ships that have 32mm plating, you can easily pen them without sacrificing the fire chance. Your fire chance, even though it's not like heavy cruiser levels, like in the case of Hindenburg, it's not like that, but it's still very respectable at 8%. And funny enough, its AP is also surprisingly good for light cruiser. You can try and maybe smash a broadside battleship with AP, and you will actually going to get surprised at how good it will chunk that battleship once you are shooting onto the upper belt. Again, the same thing like Grau, it does not have access to heal. Atago does have really good advantage in that, but your DPM is something that just makes you so much good to farm damage, okay? So you basically stay at long ranges at 17, 16 kilometer. Like you just stay at long range, you basically farm ships here and there, farm battleships whenever they get spotted by your ally destroyer, and you will just rack up so much damage because of your good DPM with very good reload time. And this is the playstyle that you get on the Mainz. Now notice that, I mean, it's a light cruiser, its armor is not impressive, it does not have access to heal. You basically have no armor, honestly. I mean, you do have like 25mm plating, which basically going to be overmatched by almost all battleships at this tier. But again, remember that you play it at long ranges, and the guns is the biggest factor. And I'm only going to be emphasizing on guns because they are super reliable. If you are going to play this cruiser, you will kind of feel like Grau, but in a very different way. I mean, it does not have like insane entire platform that you get on Grau, but it certainly does somewhat okay. Your anti-defense somewhat, I'm not gonna say meaningless, it's just there, and it can definitely shoot down planes. And you also have fighter consumables, so again, something just like in Atago, you will limit the CV strikes to a single. Like the CV can strike you for once, not more than that. And that is something that you can do with fighter and with your entire defense. Like in the case of Atago, Mainz definitely will do the same thing. Well, you do have the Hydro though, the German Hydro, 6km, which is definitely better than Atago. And well, that's basically it. I would say compared to the Atago, the guns will be a lot much more, I would say, powerful. The Alpha might not look good. I mean, it has destroyer, or I would say Cossack levels of Alpha, but that reload time with 12 guns certainly says something else. And I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely a very good cruiser at a long range, and I would say a worthy premium. And now one more thing to note, that unlike Atago that has really good range on torpedoes, it does not have access to that good range. Only 6km, which means that if you somehow find a battleship that is pushing around the island and you basically ambush that battleship, then these torpedoes will come really handy. Like you have a lot of torpedoes, so you can just devastate the battleship or cruiser or destroyer, whatever comes first. But Atago can just send the torpedoes at ranges, and if a battleship pushing Atago, he will definitely going to land a couple of them. Unlike Main, that really has to come super close and utilize these torpedoes. Otherwise, you cannot use them much in many ways. So I hope that you get some idea. These are unfortunately the only ships that I would recommend. I mean, in battleships, I mean, you might be thinking, where's the battleship? Well, unfortunately, there's not a good battleship that is particularly interesting in my opinion. I would say there are some, like for example, there's a Tirpitz. You can buy the Tirpitz, sure. There is also another battleship that is Flandre. You can also buy the Flandre. Now, these are the battleships that I might say, okay, if you are really thinking of playing battleship, sure, take a look. But I'm not going to explain them, and I'm not going to say these are my These are going to be in the top 5 pick, or I would say the best ships at tier 8 premiums to pick. Something that I would just avoid because these are not too good compared to the ship that I've explained before. So anyways, this I would say are my opinions and thoughts on these ships. Please let me know in the comments what do you think. And by the way, I would like to give a big shout out to my Patreon members. They are doing a great job. They're just supporting me directly. And if you would also like to support me directly, you can go and check out the link on my channel. It's basically a Patreon link. You can go and click that out. You can basically become a member. If you are interested in that, just go and check that out. And well, that's it for the video. I hope you guys liked and enjoyed this. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Take care, guys, and peace out.